Everyone's kerfuffling.
Hello everybody, welcome here to one of our kerfuffle ran roundtables, and I am delighted to have the other Simon in the industry, Mr. Simon Bradbury, with us today. Looking wonderful, Simon.
Yeah, howdy doody.
And Joe from Spectre, this is your roundtable today, and just to set the context again, one of the things that I really missed out on this year, apart from all the conferences and all the shenanigans that go on there, is RAN in particular really nail it each year and have fantastic roundtables. I think I sat on one of yours actually, Simon, last year, and it's a really good opportunity to listen to suppliers or other peers within the industry talk for a few minutes about the proposition. But it's not just about then a pitch, because actually what you ordinarily then see is one or two RAN members usually put their hands up and say, well, actually, yes, I use XYZ company, and they're able to give feedback to, of course, RAN members who are all non-competitive. And I think that's, I'm right in saying, Simon, that's really something you guys quite rate, don't you, in terms of a value of being part of the network?
Yeah, if I get an inquiry, a speculative email or phone call, and somebody can say to me legitimately, we've been approved by RAN or we're already being used by a RAN colleague, genuinely that does mean a lot. We're all very busy. We all get lots of these pitches from lots of suppliers, and the difficulty, and this is one of the beauties, of course, of kerfuffle, is trying to work out what people are saying. So I do believe genuinely that if something comes through to me and they're normally, of course, we'd see them at the RAN conference, as you'd said, and that gives them a tacit endorsement anyway. It means a lot to me.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear. And I think, Joe, you'd echo that, wouldn't you? You've actually, when we were allowed to, you've gone on a number of those regionals, and it's a great opportunity, isn't it, to catch up with people. So, look, we're doing the best we can in the circumstances, aren't we? A nice digital here. You don't have to worry about where I've been. So, Joe, yeah, just talk to us again. How pleased you are to be part of the kind of teaming up with the RAN network.
Yeah, definitely. I know, we're over the moon to be part of the RAN network. We think it's a fantastic network out there. Great bunch of agents that that are associated with it. It's a fantastic way for non-competing agents to be able to sit down and discuss with each other, what's working for their businesses, experiences that they're having, what's potentially not going so well, and just collaborate with each other. So they can all sort of get on the same pages of heading in the right direction to what's going to help them effectively at the end of the day benefit their business and grow their business. So okay. we're chuffed to bits to be on board, chuffed to bits to help those agents with what we can offer as a service, and listen to them and maybe offer any additional advice as well.
And you've left it out, but it leaves me with the open goal, of course, and as well, you should be super chuffed, if that is even a phrase. Obviously, you also awarded one of the most collaborative partners. So, not just lots of people can sometimes tie up with affiliation groups and they kind of just see it as a distribution group. But I think it's fair to say the likes of you, Moneypenny and Akaboom went out of your way to actually try to really get involved with the RAN agents, trying to do extra stuff, whether it's training, content, or indeed special offers. And that's reflected by how deep you've actually managed to roll out into the group as well. And then, and then the final part of that, of course, is you also got third place in their first Supplier of the Year awards as well. So yeah, it's not as if you guys haven't been busy this last year or so.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we're over the moon with that. Really, really pleased. And I think throughout, I mean, this year especially, agents have really felt the brunt of it, and we have really tried to put our customers at the forefront of our priority to try and do whatever we can do to help them out through what's been just a bit of a bizarre year. So being able to attend the regional meetings, we put together a nice suite of COVID-related soft approach prospecting letters. So agents, although the industry went in a complete shutdown, agents could still have some form of new business generation coming into them regularly, but on a very much appropriate level. Yeah. And just trying to work very closely with agents to try and completely shift their mindset of their typical new business generation sort of avenues to something completely different, more relevant, more professional, and yeah, I think it's worked very well for us, definitely.
Excellent. Well, let's go back to the start of the love affair, where all good stories start. Simon, how long have you been using Spectre? When did they first get on your radar?
When they first came on my radar was about 3 years ago, and I tried to play hard to get.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
Yeah,
Faking enthusiasm.
In fact, I think I first came across, I think it was your colleague Heather,
Yeah.
Joe, who I came across at a RAN conference for the first time. And they introduced me to your Hello product.
Yes, hello again.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. And I got a couple of my colleagues to have a chat about it. And then, without wishing to stretch the story out too much, at that time, I was of a frame of mind, well, really, letters, isn't that yesterday's news? And so I thought, no, I won't. Next time I saw your colleagues, and I think yourself as well, if I recollect correctly,
It was, yes.
another conference, I think it was a negotiator conference.
It was, yes.
Yeah. And again, it was, are you ready to have a go yet, Si? And I was thinking, oh, I don't know. I think you gave me a pen or something. We sort of swung the deal.
Water bottle.
You're such a sucker for merch, aren't you?
It was a water bottle. Do you know what? He came round. I remember he came round with a bag full of merch. He might as well have had a suitcase full of it.
Yeah. And I know essentially at its core, it's a simple concept, which I'm sure we'll go into a little bit. But it did take me a time to work out whether it was worth the risk and hassle and effort put in. And then it would be about 18 months ago, we used it for one branch, Huntingdon branch, and got some good results. Then, of course, all this, the COVID stuff happened, and right or wrongly, then that was pushed down the agenda. And then about 6 months ago is when we really went for it.
Yeah. And what was it that first attracted you to it? What problem were you trying to solve?
The problem that we were trying to solve was how can we communicate effectively with what we think of as the low-hanging fruit, i.e. the properties that are still already on the market, who must have a need to sell. I mean, in the old days, pre-COVID, we'd do stuff like knocking on doors. We're big on that. We'd do leaflets. But to be honest with you, that was all a bit spasmodic, a bit erratic. There's so many things I like about Spectre, but one of the most important things is its very systemized approach. We get weekly updates, or I get weekly updates on our branches that have not been using the system or have been using the system. And we had a recent challenge with one of our departments where the report I get sent through from Spectre, which I get to on a Monday, it showed that every branch had been using it nearly every single day of the week except one. And I spoke to the individual concerned, and they said, no, I sent 21 out. So I went back to your colleague Brendan, I think that's his name, yeah? And said, we've got a blockage here, and it's all sorted now. So to answer your question about what most attracted me, and I hope this doesn't sound too embarrassing, but the boys and girls at Spectre really are engaged.
Yeah.
They are. They really want to know what our challenge is, and they advise.
Definitely.
There's too many suppliers out there, isn't there, Simon, mentioning no names, who you can see they're just going through the motions, can't you? And actually that isn't the case. And look, every company grows and has to become more corporate to a degree, but it's always a sad moment when you see them losing the fire in their eyes that obviously the Spectre guys have in abundance.
That's right. I think it might be useful to run through. I don't know if people really understand what Spectre do. Perhaps I'm taking over your role, Simon, but perhaps Joe might give everybody a bit of a top level.
Simon, as you well know, I'm only number 3 most influential person in the industry, so please take over wherever you want.
I didn't even appear on that list, and I wrote it. So, Joe, could you just explain from your angle what it is that Spectre do?
Yeah, of course. So I think the problem that we try and solve for estate agencies, and I'll start with the problem, is that, you know, prospecting and new business generation for estate agencies is always at the forefront of their minds, but it's never the first in line as a priority to get done. In my opinion, it's always probably one of the last things to get done, especially when agencies are constantly busy. Everyone wants to do prospecting, everyone wants to generate leads, but when they're busy, that always tends to fall to the complete back burner, and it's done on a very ad hoc basis, which really has a detrimental effect on someone's results. So what Spectre does is it's an online prospecting and marketing tool. It's designed predominantly to help you target second instructions, because we know that over 40% of vendors across the UK are switching agents before they sell. And those second instructions can be a lot more valuable for agencies as well. So what we do is we furnish you with on-market property data of your competitors' properties that are on the market. And we give you a really nice, simple, streamlined way to be able to communicate directly with vendors or landlords, with your competitors, at key moments in time when they're most likely.
When the most likely.
He's paused just as he was going to close us. I was like that.
When they're most likely to change agents, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very sorry that Joe's frozen there, and he probably can't even hear what I'm saying, and we can't certainly see him. Oh, he's back.
Oh God, how long did I cut out for there?
I don't know.
Pick it up for you. So where you got to was as for the key moments, and I'm assuming when the way I see it is the key moments at the time at which they're looking to consider changing agents.
Absolutely, yeah, that's it, bang on right. And you know, Spectre, as you mentioned before, sort of seamlessly systemizes that process so that prospecting is always at the forefront of the business. It's always being done on a regular basis. It's not sporadic, it's consistent, and it's just getting your brand, your USPs, your promotions, you know, your bio or your mission statement out to those vendors at those and landlords at those key moments in time to try and gain those instructions. And we do have, obviously, we don't just do on-market prospecting, we do have an off-market focus as well, so you can try and gain those first instructions, you know, fire out those promotions and those campaigns. We get a lot from agents who say, you know, we do leaflet drops where we send out 10,000 leaflets a month sort of thing, and they get maybe sort of one instruction off the back of it, whereas prospecting through Spectre for things like that and off market allows you to really target down to a very select demographic of people.
One of the products that you guys offer is the I think they're actually euphemistically called 2020s, so they don't have to be literally 2020s. One of the products that the teams really like is that if we agree a sale on a property, we through the Spectre system can look at other properties that are on the market with other agents and let them know that we've sold it. But we can also send them out to other people who aren't on the market, anybody, neighbours, or perhaps people who we've been out to value before.
Yeah, definitely. So off market sort of sold in your area letters, you know, you can target properties by a similar property type. You know, if you sell a detached house, you can target other detached properties for a similar value, square footage, like how long they've lived there, you know, rather than just sort of blanket canvassing a street, for example. It's about trying to make it a lot more specific to give you the best results.
But many people watching this, Joe, will absolutely be nodding away at that problem you highlighted before. You know, it's very easy when we're quiet to do prospecting, isn't it? And we get on the phones and everything else, doorstep when appropriate. But actually, the classic thing is as you get busy, of course, you know, you get out there and you do the appointments. So what that leads to is this horrible feast and famine style approach, isn't it? Where you're always lagging behind the curve when obviously it inevitably does start to quieten down a bit again from one of those busy periods. And what you're doing is you're hard coding, aren't you? Essentially that level of lead generation into your business, which of course is invaluable, I'd imagine, Simon, you'd think.
It is, and I think you've explained it very well there, because everybody wants to do prospecting, as Joe has alluded to, and everyone's going to definitely do it tomorrow, without any shadow of a doubt, and then we'll definitely do it tomorrow, and definitely next week. But because the system is so simple to use, and it really is simple to use, and it is, I hate it when people describe stuff as being intuitive, because it normally isn't, but it is actually quite intuitive. It means that once you've got everything set up, and there is a bit of hassle there, and I'll run through that in a moment. Once you've got everything set up, it is genuinely a sort of 10-minute-a-day job that needs to be allocated.
You said there, Simon, intuitive, and I think I've gone on record as saying you're quite right. A lot of systems are, by definition, you know, they're complicated, they're fiddly to get started. Once they're set up, fantastic. You know, there's a lot going on with what the guys at Spectre do and everything else there. And the one thing that I think they've done almost better than anyone else I know is their UI, if you can describe it as it, is genuinely sexy in terms of its simplicity, isn't it? It's not simple for the sake of being kind of, you know, glitzy or anything else like that. It really does deliver. And I think your UI experts that you have, Joe, should really, you know, you should take the hat off to them. They really think this stuff through.
Yeah, we've got our development team, who work with us day in, day out, are absolutely phenomenal in what they do. We've got probably the industry best by far from what we think in terms of what we're able to build day in, day out. And things like that. We're always an evolving product. We're not something that's going to sit still. We're every month, I think for the last sort of 4 or 5 months, we've released something new going into the system, whether it's sales prospecting, lettings prospecting, just to try and allow agents. And to be honest, a lot of that feedback has come from our clients as well. What do they want from a prospecting system? We'll take that feedback, take it to our development team, and we'll try and build it, as quickly as possible to get that out there for our clients.
I haven't used it yet, but you've just launched your postcard option from the collection.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, yes. So that's fantastic. So, alluding to obviously what we spoke about earlier, the 2020, the sold in your area campaigns. Previously with Spectre, it was all letter content based. And what we found is a lot of agents like to send something a lot more aesthetically pleasing, like an A5 postcard with a picture of the property they've sold and then a promotion or contact details on the back of it. So with Spectre now, you can bespokely design very quick and easily an A5 postcard. You can have variable image, fixed image postcards for campaigns. And you can then send that out through one-off campaigns, through 2020s, all through the Spectre system now, which is brilliant. So we launched that, I think we launched that yesterday. And we've already had a few agents testing it out, which has gone down phenomenally well. And we think that's going to be a lot of take up on that very soon.
The other thing that I've found with you guys is that you're happy to share, not the secrets of what other agents have done using Spectre, but you're able to share the things that you found to be effective. And when I was first told these things, I thought, oh, yeah, whatever. That's going to cost me some extra cash, I bet. And it may or may not. But I've found without fail that every bit of advice that you guys have given us has been worthwhile. So one of the products that I was not interested in with the Spectre letters, but I changed my mind thanks to the advice I was given, and I was proven to be wrong, was the idea that the first letter to send out is to people who've just come on the market with another agent. And I was thinking, well, what? They've got 16 weeks ahead of them, 12, 16 weeks ahead of them as sole agent. Why would we want to do that? Why would I want to spend 60p or whatever it is to send a communication to them? And it was explained to me that what you do, you send a letter that basically says, hi there, we see you've just gone on the market with, and then the other estate agent's name. So that's quite a...
It's a bit ballsy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's personal, though.
Very clever. If you're looking to buy or you're looking to move out of the area, well, we're part of Relocation Agent Network is what we put in our initial letter to people who've gone on the market with other agents. And don't hesitate to give us a call if we can be of any help. And what that does is two things. It means that if they do respond, and to be fair, not many do. So I want to be straight, not many do respond to that first letter. But if they do, it means that you've got their data on board, which you might not have had before. So that's one thing. But secondly, it sort of sets them up a little bit for the, well, I've had that Thomas Morris letter, I'm going to throw it in the bin, but it's registered. So when the next letter comes out after the 12 weeks or the 16 weeks or the 8 weeks, or they get a letter from us saying, hey, we've just sold a house similar to you, it's not the first time they've got it. So I learned about that, and I thought that was good advice, and we don't stop that now.
That's really interesting, and it's all about still. Even that just introduction is obviously highlighting to you, highlighting to the person, you're the brand, the agents in the area as well. You're not getting caught up in that whole petty kind of come to us straight away. It's just letting them know you're there and actually genuinely pleased to see them go on the market.
Yeah.
It's that familiarity stage with it, really. That very much that first letter is going to be your introduction to you as a business, and you've hit the nail on the head there. That if they do respond to you, that is a data capture exercise. You've captured their data. They're now registered with you on your system. You may even get an onward purchase out of it, not necessarily an instruction, but you might get an onward purchase, which is fantastic. It's a cross-sell opportunity for you.
You're not particularly relevant to Ran, whose big focus, of course, is on referrals. We've had situations where people have read the letter, contacted us, and that's produced a Ran lead for us to send off to our pals in Leeds or London or whatever it is. So there's a bit more to that first letter, and I'm really pleased you went ahead.
Definitely.
Of course, something else I'd mentioned. Sorry, Simon, I'm just going to interrupt you before you say anything. The other thing which I think people though need to bear in mind. I think all too often, when suppliers come to you and say, "Oh, we can solve this problem for you," you think, "Well, I'll pay my money, and then it will all be sorted for me." It really does need engagement and thought at the beginning, in particular. The rest of it's quite simple, but you need to work with these people at Spectre. You need to work on the copy of the letter, and you really do need to work. You
definitely.
also
And I think that's.
go on.
Sorry, carry on, Simon.
Okay. The other thing is the way the letter's presented. So, we've got various graphic images, and I've seen some examples from other agencies. They're just fantastic. But the effort that you put into that initial, before you launch it, to get the letters right is absolutely critical. And then, of course, there's the other issue, which I think was, it's been said to me a number of times by Brendan, then I heard Heather mention it at the EA Masters event. She said it right at the beginning of their discussion with Peter Knight, and it was make sure that content is kept fresh, that you change it and that it's relevant. Now, that actually is quite a challenge. I mean, it's a platitude, really, because everybody knows that must be right. But to actually do it does require effort. And I'm just going through the process now of changing ours again. I think this is the third change we've made. But I think that's really, really important for people to understand. It does require effort at the beginning, and then once every few months, you need to look at that copy again.
Well, that's really important, Simon, isn't it? That shows an evolving product and an evolving solution, because otherwise, it'd be easy and everyone would be doing it, and they wouldn't need people like Spectre to deliver on this, would they?
No, that's absolutely right. But go on.
I was just going to say, is really, I mean, I'm quite interested to see in your own business, obviously, because many different products are used differently by different agents. Actually how you use Spectre in your business, kind of what the team like as well, specifically, the favorite features are there, because often, as principals, we sign up to stuff, don't we? We have one vision for what it's going to do, and actually the troops on the ground get completely different benefits or otherwise off the back of that. And I was keen to understand from a real world perspective how it worked with you.
Okay, well, as I've been saying throughout this entire discussion, a lot of it comes down to a relationship with the supplier, and then it comes down to the relationship of the supplier through me to the individuals concerned, in our case, 6 or 7 branch managers. Yeah. So the first thing that we have to do is to sell them the idea, and everybody says, "Oh yes, that's great." The one thing I would emphasise there is though the integrity of the information. And what I mean by that, and forgive me, Joe, if I don't know the exact details, but you don't supply us with the addresses of absolutely every person that's on the market with another agent. You supply us with the addresses of everybody. The list that you provide, you're virtually certain is correct. And that's what we find.
Absolutely, yeah. So the addresses that we provide, we know are 99.95% accurate. And the reason why we don't provide 100% of the market, and I'd be very dubious if anyone was claiming they could provide 100% of the market.
And they do, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd always question that, because it's nigh on impossible, I would think. And that's because of our data accuracy checks. Brand protection is a very high value of ours, and we want to make sure that if you're sending out letters, they are going to the correct people at the correct moments in time. And if any property doesn't pass through one of our many strict accuracy criteria checks because of those reasons, we will not display them in the Spectre system. Therefore, you won't be able to send any letters to them, because we just don't want you sending letters to the wrong places. It's paramount. That could be so detrimental to your brand. If you send a letter to the wrong person, then and they've upset them, they're not going to be using your services, and we don't want that to spread throughout your local community. So you're very right there. Data accuracy is a very, very high priority of ours.
And the way that to answer your question, Simon, the way that transcribes into stuff on the front line is that the branches then trust the data.
Yeah.
So then once they trust the data, then they trust the concept, then all they've got to do is the practical thing every single day. And that is that it literally then takes 10 minutes to ping a few things, and they know the letters have gone out. Then, of course, there's the reinforcement that happens on the front line, that they have to go out to a property and somebody might say, "Oh, I've called you because I've got your letter." I mean, that's a great, when you hear that, that's absolutely fantastic. Of course, a number of people don't mention it. And it might be that, and I've explained this to Spectre, and I think they're totally down with what I'm suggesting. I wouldn't necessarily, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Joe, but I don't necessarily think that it's because on its own of the Spectre letter that we will get the.
No, so we class that as a success with Spectre. You know, you get your success reports, which is an email to say that you've had a success, i.e., an instruction. And we don't necessarily say that Spectre is going to be, you know, the letter that got you that instruction. What we do say is that Spectre will have had a contribution to that instruction. That could have been just your brand running through someone's mind. It could have been something you said in the letter, and at the point where they think, I need a second agent, and they go, who am I going to use? Thomas Morris, I remember receiving a letter a week ago. You know, it's just that reaffirmation, you know, of the brand, of the image, of the USPs, and we're the contributing factor. We're not necessarily the deciding factor, but we are a heavy contributing factor, is what we say.
I agree with you. So again, to address the issue that Simon raised about what it's like on the front line, when the guys and girls get some positive feedback and to see that they got that appointment either directly because of the Spectre letter or the Spectre letter was part of it, it sort of keeps it going. And as you said, you send to us an email which says you've had a success, and what that identifies is properties that have come onto the market that you know have had a Spectre letter. I have to say, we get on a lot more than that. Than the successes. So we do know when you say we've had a success, we know that's been a success. You guys, perhaps I don't know all the intricacies of your techie wiki necky decky world, but you perhaps need to try and be a little bit more sensitive to that, because we check our success with Spectre using other methods. Essentially, what we do is that we go through our CRM and we take a note of all the properties that we've been out to, and we check it off against all the properties that received a Spectre letter. Then we work out how many appointments we've got, then we work out how many listings we get from that, and obviously how many properties we sell, and that's how we work out our ROI. Now, I'm giving you, Joe, and your colleagues some bit more detailed information, which I don't want to go into publicly on this video now, but I'm happy for you to share whatever bits you want, and if anybody ever wants to call me about it, I'm happy to share it with them. But that's the way we measure it.
Yeah, definitely. And we always state, you know, we only detect around about 75% of your instructions anyway.
Yeah.
Because again, trying to get 100% of data is now an impossible. So there'll always be more instructions that have a contributing factor from Spectre that we've not detected. But yeah, if you can be sure that the ones we do detect, you know, have at least had something from Spectre or multiple things from Spectre, which is great. And I think you've also touched on, you know, Simon, mentioning about, you know, what do the actual sort of the floor like and think of the system. What I think the Spectre system brings is actually a bit more of an enjoyment back into the prospecting role. You know, I've been there personally as a previous estate agent, letting agent, where I've been tasked with prospecting. You sat behind a computer, you're trying to gather data, you're then having to drive around and spot boards, come back and create an Excel spreadsheet, then do a mail merge. It's a gruesome task for someone to do day in, day out. It takes forever. So when they get given a tool like Spectre, it brings a huge amount of enjoyment back into a role. People then start to enjoy prospecting and enjoy bringing in new business. And if you can raise that morale level, you're only going to see your results go bigger and better from there on out. So it's a big part of the system.
Joe, it gives you that, like you're named after the Bond villain, it gives you that almost Blofeld ability to sit there stroking your cat, doesn't it? With all the technology at your hands and genuinely being able to filter and identify those opportunities. Yeah, who couldn't really enjoy the potential to slice and dice those prospects of the future?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I signed up a new client the other day, and he said it's like having a new toy at Christmas.
Yeah. One thing on that, which I was very cynical about, but I have to say, yet again, I was wrong, is that Spectre said to us at the beginning, don't expect to get results straight away. It might take a few months. I thought, well, yeah, that's useful. So we'll continue paying our subscriptions for a few months. Very nice one. But actually, it is true.
It takes what? It takes time. So that's really important there. So you need to get your expectations set for fellow RAN members or anyone that comes on board is, like so many things like advertising, don't go and throw a $5,000 advertising campaign as a one-off and expect that to have an effect. It takes time to build, doesn't it? I think is what you're intimating there.
Definitely. Spectre is not a magic wand, and it's not going to, the day you sign up, you're not going to see 5 instructions come through that day. It does take time. And the reason why it takes time is because it's got to take, we say it takes around on average, I think it's around 3 to 4 Spectre letters a vendor or a landlord needs to receive before they will then, refer back to your business and call you or maybe instruct you. So it takes time to build that momentum up. And the problem is if someone's not doing prospecting at the moment and then they start completely afresh, they have to take that time to build that momentum up. And then once they've got that momentum, they start seeing the first few instructions come in. It starts to snowball after that, and they'll start seeing more regular instructions coming through from Spectre. And once you're at that sort of sweet spot with Spectre, which can take 2, 3, 4 months, probably on average, I think it takes around about 2 to 3 months. Then you're at a stage where they are just constantly, regularly coming in. You're happy with it, you're consistent with it, and you just need to keep that going. Because the minute you stop, you're back to square one again, and you're having to wait a few months for that to kick in. And that's why I think when people are prospecting manually, if they're doing it sporadically, that's why they're not seeing the returns they should be seeing, because it's that consistency that adds the main issue.
Yeah, I think that and the copy, Joe. I think the copy that you put, although it's stating the blinking obvious, but the copy is absolutely critical, and that's one thing that's been emphasised to me, and I definitely think is the case.
So would it be fair to say then, Simon, that you did get a little bit too excited about the opportunity? You were, even though they set your expectation, you were expecting it to do more from kind of, almost from day one. And that's something you would say to fellow RAN members. Because I was going to say, what would you advise fellow RAN members that came on board? What would you do differently to learn, not from your mistakes, but from your experiences?
Yeah. To be fair, I always thought it would take a bit of time. So anything we got in the first 2 or 3 months, I thought felt like a freebie. I think the tips that I would give would be listen to what Spectre say in terms of their experience. Even if you think, oh, well, that will be to their advantage because they get more money out of me. Actually, genuinely, these guys do know what they're talking about.
And Simon, you can't fall back in. The problem with this a lot of the time, and I know suppliers do get, although they try to be polite on the face of it, is you can't agree to sign up with a supplier and then go straight back into the mode of I'm the agent and I know best, can you? Because that does happen often. You've got to open your mind a little bit, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. Listen to people like Joe and the team.
I agree. I think it's very much the same as an estate agent. You go out to try and advise people and value their house.
Yeah.
They'll have their own viewpoint. And of course, they're reluctant to listen to you, the expert, even though you know that what you're saying to them is the best advice. So the first thing I would say is listen to what these people say. The second thing I would do is put aside a proper amount of time and resource to get the first lot of letters right.
Right, yeah.
The copy right, the images right. And again, listen to what Spectre say, but try and get really put some thought into that copy.
So is that again trying to stop that very human? We mentioned Christmas toys. Normally, you want to rip open the paper and start playing with it without reading the manual or anything else there. Restrain yourself and actually do it right from day one, because then you'll get the results from that, basically, from that patience.
And then related to that, plan 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, different times of the year. Plan rather than say, oh, next week I'm definitely going to change those letters. Make sure it's in your planner. I mean, these guys chase me. I had a conversation with...
And you're busy, Simon, aren't you? And this is a key thing. Everyone is so time poor. So what would be the easiest thing in the world is what some suppliers do. Oh, he's quiet. Let's just, forget about it. But actually to keep putting your hand up there and say, look, we could do with actually refreshing those. That's the sort of, I mean this in the best possible sense, Joe, the best kind of nag you can get, isn't it?
To be honest, I mean, we've got an absolute world-class customer success team. Testament to them. They are so proactive, and from the get-go, we have an initial strategy call with the managers and the directors to find out initially, because we onboard a variety of different customers, whether they're new clients, multi-branches, single branches. We have a strategy call booked in with them to start with, to work out within the first, let's say, for example, quarter, what do they want to achieve through the Spectre system? Is it just to build market share? Is it to launch in a new area? Is it to get out a certain promotion or offer or something like that, or to launch a certain USP of the business or product? From that, after that strategy call, we then take it upon ourselves to train the staff members correctly on how to use the system, show them all the features and functionalities and how it works, get them excited to use the product. And then we have that ongoing support throughout your time with us, which Simon will know, where we will check in on you guys, make sure your content is up to date, is it relevant? And we're very open and blunt with that advice. If we know straight away, we can see within your account that what you're doing isn't going to work, because we know from experience that it's not right, we'll be honest and say straight away, Simon, we think you need to change this because we know it's not going to work for you.
Yeah,
although we don't.
That's important to really, just because saying the difficult things sometimes can be the best advice of all, can't it?
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
So Simon, one thing I think that's been a really useful. Obviously, it was going to go over half an hour with us three on the thing, but I'm sure our RAN colleagues will forgive us for being keen and passionate about talking about it. I suppose the simple one, Simon, is: would you recommend? Is there anyone in the RAN network you wouldn't recommend Spectre to?
No, there was no.
I was hoping you were going to name someone then. That would have been amazing.
Do you know what? I was on the edge of my seat then.
It was tempting because, of course, we're non-competing in many ways. I don't know if you know, but I mean, we're not really that fussed about awards
yeah.
But some are, and so yes, I might know. I'm going to forgo that. No, genuinely, I would highly recommend them and what they do, and their product and their people, but it does require effort. It's not just I can forget about it now. Particularly at the beginning, it requires effort and engagement, but the benefits from it are significant.
And that's the classic thing, because you will look. Otherwise, everyone can copy it. If it was easy to do, everyone would be doing it. So there's a really beneficial thing there. Put some effort in. It's a super heavyweight tool in the right hands, isn't it? And it will power your agency onto better things, won't it? Excellent. And Joe, look, just in case, if there were other assets that Simon made mention there, to like a case study, if you want to knock them over to us, we'll happily dispatch them to any RAN members that are keen to do it. And of course, go have a look at your Spectre page on Kerfuffle, see all the great reviews, not least from Mr. Bradbury here, and obviously find out further information. And they can obviously reach out to you at the normal place as well, Joe, can't they?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think we've got a nice deal on the website for anyone who's interested as well at the moment.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So yeah, fantastic. Welcome any open chats with RAN members, even if they're just curious to have a look at it. There's obviously no obligation, but we'd love to be working with more of the RAN members. We'd love to share some success stories with them. So if anyone's interested in that, just come to us, and we'll look after them. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Joe, great view for you. Obviously, it's a very exciting time for the street group in general. Yes. Really thank you very much for coming here, spending that time. And Simon, obviously, great of you to be as honest as ever. And I think there's some really constructive feedback, as most people would appreciate. Thanks for the pair of you for today.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Everyone's kerfuffling.